Previously on Libel the Bible.
Yahweh sets the price for the Israelites' life at half a shekel.
Yahweh teaches the Israelites how to remove microbes from their bodies that might be harmful to him.
We're not saying Yahweh's an alien.
But he's an alien.
Yahweh is jealous of the golden calf and decides to burn the Israelites.
Moses talks Yahweh out of another genocide, but commands his own execution squad that wipes out a 9/11 worth of lives.
Yahweh was satisfied with the killings ordered by Moses, and instead of burning the Israelites, he sent a plague upon them.
And now, episode 22 of Libel the Bible. All right, so I'm going to fill the dead air while Scott, performs his little gimmick of opening his wine bottle. Shh.
No, come on.
Oh, no. But it's not at the microphone.
Because I'm not there yet.
That's what she said. You got to get... Oh, my God. Great.
All right.
How much time did we waste doing that? Perfect. What's going
Less
on?
time than you're going to waste about talking about your bunion or something later.
I don't have bunions.
Really?
Yeah, you
You
want
know
to
what
see
a
my
bunion
feet?
is?
Yeah.
Bang! You already wasted more time talking about bunions you don't have. So there. And there's no drop in that. At least I got a drop out of it.
You're the one that brought up bunions. And again, you start gaslighting me. It only took you like a minute to gaslight me by bringing something up. I respond, and you're like, oh, you're talking about bunions.
I saw the future. I knew
You know what we
to.
need to start doing? We need to start recording our conversation so I can point out to you what you do.
Yeah, you should probably do that anyway because we can't remember anything we say. Rusty kind of ruined some podcast magic for me tonight by making me record not one but two previously on segments.
Oh, no.
So I don't know if you guys know this. We didn't record one the last time, and it's possible through the magic of technology to go back and edit it in.
Scott was shocked during the recording last week. Like, he starts off the show, like, talking about how we don't have, a previously on. And I was like, yeah, bro, relax. We're going to record one. And he's like, what? You could do that? Like, I don't understand. We're, like, on the air right now, and we didn't do one. How can we possibly have a previously on? So long story short, we're going to have a previously on.
All right, speaking of the previously on, I saw in big letters that we mentioned Yahweh a lot. Are we allowed to say Yahweh? Isn't it like forbidden?
By who?
I don't know.
I mean, there are people who believe that you shouldn't speak Yahweh's name. Are you one of those people that believes?
Listen, man.
Well, why do we start calling him Yahweh, Scott?
Because that's his freaking name, I think.
But why did we stop calling him God and start referring to him as Yahweh?
Because now we know his name.
I think it's more than that. I feel like it's ridiculous to call this person God or this being or entity.
All right, but
and this is under the premise that this exists, right? We're patronizing the Bible, right? We're like, okay,
that doesn't rhyme though, so that's why we don't have that domain name.
Patronizing the Bible. Yeah.
I bet you some crafty entrepreneur listening to this will go, that's a good idea.
Honestly, I'm shocked Libel the Bible was available. Every name is taken. Try getting a Gmail account at this point. Anything you could think of.
I think I'm going to get a Gmail account so I can have create what do you call them, bots? Not bots, trolling accounts, because sometimes I post stupid shit on Twitter.
Trolling is awesome. But to get back to the Yahweh thing, I just think it's obvious this isn't God, right? The capital G God.
I'm going to tell you, you're absolutely right, because when we were reading the material for today, I don't see the word God mentioned anymore. It's strictly the Lord.
Right. Well, that's his name too, I think. The Lord.
Not his title?
Yeah, it was mentioned earlier.
Wait. So is Pharaoh a name? Or is it a title?
Well, Pharaoh is nothing because it's Pharaoh. I've been meaning to tell you for the past like 5 months. It's farro.
Farro is like a rice or something,
Right.
man.
So, I'm sorry, Scott. I know what you're doing. You're deflecting from the real story.
What's the real story?
The real story is Scott got all drunk on Saturday and got on Twitter.
It was Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry, Friday. I wake up Saturday morning and like we're in Twitter timeout for 7 hours after I delete hate speech.
I did not mean it to be hate speech.
Well, it fell under Twitter's
That's fine.
hate
That's
speech.
fine.
So, Scott, please explain to our listeners who may have seen.
No, I don't even want to. I meant to tell you when you brought this up to me, I don't know what you're talking about. I believe the term is we got hacked and somebody else was posting under our stuff. Yeah, that's what I'm sticking to.
So you don't want to talk about this
talk
very
about it, man.
interesting aspect and share it with our
I
audience.
was very angry Friday night for a lot of reasons, and I went down a Twitter rabbit hole. I came across a lot of very God-fearing like people with their nonsense, and I just started calling them out and maybe using words I shouldn't have used. And listen, man, I'm not proud of my behavior, man.
I mean, like I said, I felt like the words you used were mild. I didn't feel like, mild relatively speaking.
Apparently, if you are of a persuasion or a race or a skin color, it does not give you permission to make fun of people that look just like you. Like you like to say, "Oh, I'm Jewish. I can make that joke."
You know what?
And I think that's what I was doing.
I gotta say this. I think everyone has the right to use any words they want to use.
Correct. And when you're in Twitter's house, they have the right to show you the door if they didn't like what you're saying.
That's an interesting conversation to have also.
Yeah,
Instinctually, I agree with you because it's a private business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the government's not impeding on our right to free speech. Right. So it's kind of like I can't show up to someone's bar and just tell the bartender or, his favorite person in the bar, and start insulting them all night. Like, they have the right to kick me out of their bar, right? Yeah. And so we can use that analogy for Twitter, but we can also say Twitter is sort of like has become the public, the public square. Like, all of these, like, social media platforms have become the public square.
Okay, so wait a minute. So by that logic, let's go back before the interwebs. If I own a very successful pub that everybody's coming to, it's the place.
Everybody can't come to it. Logistically, it's not possible. That's why you can't make that equivalency. You can't like.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. All right, fine. Not everyone can come to it, but it gets so popular in this isolated village and town.
Okay.
But now I start tossing people out because I don't like their language. I don't like their viewpoints. It's my place.
Right.
And then eventually somebody can come out and say, but wait a minute, this is where we all meet in this town.
Right.
So as the owner, fuck you. You have no rights. We'll say what we want in your place. And as a matter of fact, it's not even your place anymore.
Right.
So come on.
I mean, that's an interesting case that would be taken up by the Supreme Court, maybe.
God, I hope not.
It's kind of like one of those things where the baker refused to make a cake for the gay couple.
Right, which I'm completely opposed to, but that's his business. He has the right to do what he wants to do.
Right.
And the way you stop that is you just stop going to that baker.
So he has the right to not serve black people?
No, I don't think he... No. Do I... Yeah, shoot. I don't
Legally.
know. Yeah. Legally? No.
Then why does he have the right to refuse
good point.
Service to gay people?
Absolutely right. You're right.
So it's weird,
it should be
like
equal protection under the law.
Ultimately, it's also nuanced. You know what I mean? So like the Twitter conversation about like
I retract what I said, by the way.
Free about what?
I'm sorry. I said that's his business. He has the right to. No, you know what?
You're talking about Twitter?
Right. No, like the baker.
I
don't think they should have the right to.
No, again, it's like it's a very nuanced conversation, and so even like with Twitter, like people. Again, I feel like we've lost all ability for nuance in our public discourse, or like and it's seeped into like our private discourse too. It's like everything is zero sum now, and there's nothing in between. It's either this or that. Everything is purity testing from all different sides, and even the middle, by the way. The middle is the worst out of all of them because they don't even pick a side. They equate like both sides as being equally ridiculous. And it's like, nah, man, both sides are not equally ridiculous. One side is obviously much more ridiculous than the other side. And if you're in the middle and you think that both sides, then maybe you're even more ridiculous than either of the sides.
Well, I believe in the majority of the cases of people appealing to the middle. I think it's more they just want like peace, and they think, well, can't we meet in the middle? And when some things there's no meeting in the middle.
Or counterpoint, there's what we think now is the middle has been shifted so far over to the right that the middle is what used to be the right now. And so that's why there are what appear to be more radical elements on like the left, for example. But the only reason they appear more radical is because things have shifted and drifted so far right, beginning with Bill Clinton. You know, Bill Clinton ran as a populist.
Yeah. But
all of his policies were not populist at all. His policies shipped jobs overseas, you know, with NAFTA. The Telecommunications Act basically... What?
Love it.
Well,
launched my career.
Yeah, it flooded money. It flooded taxpayer money into like what should have been public utilities, making them massive monopolies. Like we basically gave them billions of dollars to do nothing. The crime bill under him.
The Telecommunications Act actually was the intention was to kind of break into the monopoly. Like New York Tel owned everything. They had to start selling
of course,
space in their network.
Well, the intention is right. So the way the intention is always framed, it's always for the public good, right? Yeah. But the point being that with Clinton, everything started drifting rightward. And it had to because with Reagan and then Bush, they were so popular. Not so much Bush by the end of his term because he raised taxes. But liberal became like a fucking dirty term. I remember when Dukakis ran for president and they were like liberal, and it was like an embarrassing thing to be labeled. So the Democratic Party under Clinton shifted to the right. And so that forced the Republican Party to shift to the right. And so you had this race that began to like start shifting to the right. So today we basically we live in an existence where economically, I'm not talking about identity politics, because everything is identity politics now. You know, everything is, are you for gay rights? Are you for abortion? Are you for gun rights? You know, on economic policy, Barack Obama is basically what a moderate Republican was in the 80s. Nothing more than that. You know what I mean? And so this idea that, you know, from someone who's in the middle, a quote-unquote independent, and they're like, why can't we just meet in the middle? Because the middle isn't the middle anymore, you know what I mean? The middle is crazy. Like, the middle is like Mitt Romney, I guess. And he's insane. You know, like, his ideas are insane. So that's my point on that. But all this is a long way of saying Scott became frustrated by like some, you know, political conversations. He took his frustrations out like on Twitter.
Not my proudest moment.
Yeah, I mean, again, I didn't think he said anything that was hateful, but like everyone is so sensitive now. Like really, everyone is so, like, listen, there are definitely things that you have to be sensitive about, you know what I mean? Sure. Like there's definitely shit that you should be sensitive about. But I think we've lost like the line. I think the line has become too broad, you know, too wide. And it shouldn't be like that when it comes to speech. Like speech should be the thing that's protected always, you know, before the Second Amendment.
Well, they invade our space and we fall back. They assimilate entire worlds and we fall back. Not again. This far, no farther. The line must be drawn here.
That's the speech that he gave to the past. What's her name?
Lily.
Right. But didn't she then point out to him that like he's like speaking from hate, and so that sort of nullifies that. Well, speech.
Even when I was saying it just now, it completely contradicted what you were trying to say.
Yeah.
But
it's just
when you say
funny.
The line, that's what I think of. That's how my brain works.
The problem is with Star Trek, they try to make those movies to appeal to like a mass audience, and what winds up happening is like it's just written like not like the TV show, and the TV show is the reason that they're making the movie, because it's popular. And so instead of just appealing to like Trekkers, they try to appeal to the lowest common denominator, and so the writing doesn't make any fucking sense. And like none of the movies, even like a good movie like Contact that you would think is a good movie, if you really like watch it and break it down.
You mean First Contact?
First Contact. I'm sorry.
I loved Contact. Also, Jodie Foster.
The ending was fucking kind of a mess.
Carl Sagan.
Did he write that?
Him and his wife, yeah, I believe.
No, I mean, did he write that part about like the palm trees and the father like on the other planet?
I don't remember. Actually, Contact was one of the books I lost during Sandy. I lost Cosmos.
It was a corny. Maybe the concept would have been better if they didn't do it so corny of her meeting her dad. Or her dad being like the messenger to explain shit.
Maybe she should have met some faceless guy on top of a mountain in a cloud of fire and smoke.
So I want to, or a guy with a shining face.
Oh, wait till we get to this. Man.
You have theories on this?
Oh, sure, I got theories on this.
So let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
All right, so we're on Exodus 33. We're still at the mountain, man. We're still at the mountain.
Yeah, God had previously said he unleashed a plague on the people, and I'll just cover it right now. He never mentions that plague again. We don't know the repercussions of the plague. We don't know the death toll of the plague. We don't know what form the plague took. He's used up all like the really good ones.
Yeah, so he cast the plague on the people because of the golden calf. He was all like pissed off about the golden calf. All right. So after,
you know what he should have done?
Yeah.
He should have converted all their calves to gold. And so now what you going to eat?
Yahweh should have done that.
But then he couldn't have done that. Because then what would they feed him? Because those calves are just for him to eat anyway. They're burnt offerings.
That's right. He needs to eat.
Yeah. All right.
He was about to make those people burnt offerings.
Yeah.
He still might.
Yeah, still might.
So we're on Exodus 33, the command to leave Sinai. And this is where he basically promises Moses. He tells Moses, like, it's time to leave, right? And he makes that promise again about like, you're going to take, I'm going to give you like this land that you're going to be able to take over. The same promise he made to Abraham and
for generations
Isaac.
Now, yeah.
Right. But what I find funny is he tells him, I can't travel with you though, because you people are so fucking annoying. I might fucking wreck you on the way. So I cannot be with you.
And he says it twice.
So let me read in Exodus 33, verse 3. He says, go up to a land flowing with milk and honey, but I will not go up among you, or I would consume you on the way, for you are a stiff-necked people.
What did you say stiff-necked means? Like stubborn?
Stiff-necked means stubborn, yeah. And consume, does he really? Wait a second.
Eat
I was reading consume as like kill, like consume with fire or consume with like disease. But now that I'm thinking about it, consume might mean like a predator eating like people.
When I read further on, I don't know if I should mention it now because I might as well, because I was thinking maybe he can't go with them because he says I would consume them in an instant. I'd consume you in an instant or like whatever. Maybe, like you said, it is consumed in fire because if his spaceship went with them, they would be incinerated by the thrust or whatever propulsion system.
Oh, he can't. But I thought that was the whole point of the tabernacle.
Right, but they're not there. The tabernacle, they're going to break it down and they're going to bring all this. They're going to take all the shit with them. So now they're traveling
with the tabernacle. Oh, so they're going to like break it down,
put it in
reestablish it.
Yeah. And then he's going to come visit them.
Are you sure? Because they have the poles, right? So I assumed they were just going to build like this like structure that they could lift while he was in it and like
Oh, no. I got the impression that
like a litter.
like the ark and the other things that were manageable with poles was one thing, but the tabernacle was huge the way they described it.
Right.
So I think they had to break that down.
So he's
throw it on some pallets, throw it on the back of a truck.
But he's always known this then. So like if the premise is he can't travel with them on his spaceship because he's gonna like radiate them or burn them or whatever,
consume them,
then what's the point of him even having them build the tabernacle to begin with?
Because he gets to it.
Okay. Yeah. And why is he just now finding out that these are stubborn people? Like, shouldn't he know this, that they're stubborn people?
I think he probably, before you make contact with a species, I have to assume he was observing them for a while. And he probably thought like all his tricks and his plagues and his magic would be enough that these people wouldn't make a golden calf.
I got to tell you.
Even he was surprised, even after watching them for a while, like how fucking stiff-necked they are.
Yeah. The surprise is what gets me. Because, okay, we are almost 2 books through the Old Testament, and the Old Testament has 4 books. So we're almost halfway through, right, books-wise. I don't know how lengthy the other 2 books are, but we're about halfway through. I have yet to see evidence that this is an all-knowing being, as has been sold to me my whole life.
Right. Agreed.
I haven't seen anything that says this is an all-knowing being. You want to make an argument that he's like all-powerful? All right, so some shit has happened, like some mass flooding has happened, right? That's this guy.
Yeah, I'm still wondering if it's
and
the
not
same
like
guy.
some other, like whatever. So so you can make an argument all-powerful, but you can also make an argument not. But you cannot make an argument that he's all-knowing.
Agreed. I mean, because it's replete with, I forgot, I regret. It's come on. So let's not call him all-powerful. If we need to appeal to the masses that feel he is, we'll say he's the most powerful God we've met so far in this book.
Well, he's the only God, right? That's why we're not calling him God. He's Yahweh.
Yahweh.
It's this character, Yahweh.
It's Yahweh. Or
so
highway.
Yahweh also tells the people, like, you are such shit. Like, you're so stiff-necked and annoying, and I hate you so much. Like, take off all your ornaments, he tells them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have no right to, like, dress nice. You have no right to look nice. You're shit, and I want you to look like shit is basically, like, what he tells them.
He's breaking their spirit.
Yeah.
He wants to shame them. He wants them to go, oh, I'm sorry, my Lord. I'm sorry, God. He wants to make them feel bad. It's another mind control technique.
Yeah. I wish looking back on that episode where we assessed him using the DSM, right? And we diagnosed him with narcissistic personality disorder. We diagnosed him with antisocial personality disorder. And like pretty much it seemed like he had histrionic personality disorder. I wish we would have used more examples of what we had read. So we were like, yeah, he definitely has this characteristic. We definitely could have, like told a story. So this is a perfect example, like this is him like controlling these people. It's very antisocial what he's doing right now.
Maybe at the end of the Old Testament, we look through the ever-growing list of atrocities on our webpage and reevaluate them.
We definitely have to have like some specials like based around like all that stuff, like the greatest hits,
Yeah, maybe we should ask for some professionals to call in.
Professionals.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Sure,
Or
we could definitely do that.
Or just something we pawn off as it's Dr.
Toboggan.
I couldn't even think of a name.
It's Mantis Toboggan.
What'd you get, Mantis?
It's Always Sunny, man. You gotta watch it.
Okay.
You gotta watch it. It is such a great show. It's an unbelievably funny show.
I was gonna say,
it's like I belly laugh like 10 times during an episode. Still, after having seen it, like I'm rewatching it now. Season 4 and 5. So there's like 10 or 13 episodes in each season. It is perfect television. And by season like 5, their characters really start getting like developed, like the personalities. They start honing in on like those little things. Oh my God. It's such a great show. Such a great show. The first 4 seasons are great, but then once their personalities start like getting developed and they really start writing towards that, oh man, like it's season 15 seasons in and it's still like fresh and great.
So if you're listening from It's Always Sunny, you can send the checks to P.O. Box 472 in New York.
Those scumbags started a podcast.
Who?
The It's Always Sunny guys. They're like going back through their episodes. So like each week.
You think in like 20 years we're going to go back to our episodes? Like for nostalgia?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because that'll mean that we've made moolah. Well, actually, in 20 years, I hope to be alive still. I mean, we're at that point, Scott.
Yeah, right.
20 years is,
You know, but in the 20 years coming, that third arm I was promised once I got the vaccine is probably going to be fully grown
nice.
in. So,
well, or maybe we won't live to see 20 years because of the vaccine, man. What if they were right? What if they were right?
What if they were right about this book, man?
I mean, they were sort of right about masks. For the wrong reason, they were right.
Right.
Right. That's the thing, right? For the wrong reason.
See, I told you, but no.
Right. All right. So, Exodus 33. Let's talk about the tent outside the camp.
Yeah.
Do you remember the tent outside the camp?
Yeah.
I found it a little strange.
Yeah.
It seemed like the tent was built for everyone, but then in the text, it
only Moses.
Only Moses goes into it. But they made it seem like it's for everyone.
Maybe at first it was supposed to be. But then Yahweh realized I can't control these people. They're so scatterbrained. Like they're not going to follow the protocols. They're not going to have.
All right, I'm sorry. So for the listeners, so this tent is for meetings. Like this is a tent that they set up outside of the camp, and this is where you would meet with Yahweh.
Right. So
I guess this is while the tabernacle is being built. Like they have like a temporary like meeting space.
Crap, now I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at that. But the tent was away from the camp.
And also, if Moses is on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, how is he going into this tent? I don't understand the timeline of any of this.
But it's just edited poorly, man. Just edited poorly.
Like the podcast.
Yeah, and I think...
oh, shit, that's self-deprecating humor.
Yeah, I love that
because I'm the editor.
Yeah.
This guy got all like horny and hot. He was like, yeah, now you're talking my language.
Yeah, Rusty sucks.
Dissing yourself.
Save me the trouble. Yeah.
So the tent.
Yeah. So Moses would go, and when he went there, a pillar of cloud would come down outside the tent, and that's where Moses would talk face to face with him.
Right.
Again, the tent is away from the camp for the very reason they don't want to irradiate everybody in the camp. That's why the rocket came down on top of the mountain. They weren't at the top of the mountain. The tent is far enough away where they don't get burned up.
All right. Counterpoint. Just so people don't think we're entirely insane. All right. So, alien. We're not saying it's aliens.
But it's aliens.
Right. The point being, that is more reasonable and logical than a god.
There's even more evidence to come.
Right. So, another theory we had was like Superman. We had a whole bunch of theories that were more believable because even Superman's an alien.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. A con man. So, whenever you go and see like a magician, right? Like... Yeah. David Copperfield, like when he made the Statue of Liberty disappear, or any trick they do. Yeah. It's always like they always put like a curtain up or something, right? So you don't see what they're actually doing. Yeah. So the smoke doesn't, like, the opposing theory to alien is it could just be like a con man who's like using like smoke to obfuscate like whatever's going on behind the scenes, like Wizard of Oz style behind the curtain. And like it could be as simple as that.
Yeah, and wait, oh my God. Wait till they introduce mirrors to go along with the smoke. These guys
even a
crazy.
time traveler can bring back like technology.
Sure. You know what? I don't think it's if he's a con man, which I think he is,
right?
He's not a con man from
Yahweh.
that. Yeah, he's not a con man from that place and time. Because he definitely has some.
So you're
technology.
saying advanced technology?
He has some technology. You can't do all that.
We
shit.
did have the whole Atlantean theory,
Yeah.
and Atlantis is supposed to have very advanced technology,
flying ships, all that good stuff.
I mean, I've also heard theories that there have been prior super advanced civilizations that have existed. So humanity in our current form has been around about 150,000, 200,000 years, right? Like somewhere in that range, 150, 200,000. Modern civilization has been, I'm sorry, not modern civilization. Civilization has been around about 6,000 years. So from like the point we learned to like farm, right? So like the Fertile Crescent, someone figures out, holy fuck, when seeds go into the ground, food comes up, we don't have to go anywhere. We could stay here, we can plant food, we could stay here. Before you know it, there's a surplus of food. Surplus of food starts feeding everybody. Now everybody doesn't have to spend all day fucking looking for food and fucking. So now this guy can start building homes. This guy can start making porn, like amateur porn.
Sure.
You know what I mean, right? Like specializations develop. And society is formed. So that's 6,000 years until now versus 200,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
So who's to say, right, that shit didn't get wiped out at a certain point? Let's say 50,000 years ago, shit got all wiped. People figured out farming, let's say 120,000 years ago.
Dude, you're onto something here.
Lived for 5,000 years. Develop nuclear technology, and then some fucking Putin guy wanted a fucking piece of land, and then before you know it, nuclear war happens, everything gets wiped out, all our knowledge gets lost. Who's to say that shit didn't happen 3 or 4 times? I'm
gonna tell you it did,
and I'm gonna say that's more believable, that this guy found texts and evidence and documents from that time period. Because he's a fucking archaeologist or anthropologist like Picard, and Dr. Jones. And so now that's more believable than fucking God also. So now we've got 7 things that are more believable.
Okay, and I'm going to now take... I'm getting goosies thinking about this. I hate that term, goosies. J-Lo does that on that show. There's evidence of
Jennifer Lawrence?
That's J-Law. J-Lo.
Oh.
She's on
I'm sorry, J-Lo. Jennifer Lopez, my bad. What show? American Idol?
One of them
She's on one of those judges
shows.
shows.
Yeah. And she always, when she gets goosebumps, she goes, oh, I got goosies. And I like her and I like getting goosebumps. I hate the term goosies. It's one of them words that makes you cringe.
Right. Especially when you're a 60-year-old woman. You know what I mean? Your age.
Yeah, all right. She can act any way she wants. Anyway, listen.
I'm not saying she's not beautiful. I'm just saying you're 60 years old. Have some dignity.
Getting back to your theories.
Like Madonna.
Cut. Getting back to your theories.
My theorists?
Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge. God crushed them.
I'm sorry.
Wait, no,
I'm sorry. I was just re-listening to that episode, and you said your direct quote was, "I'm sorry. I just want to stress the tree of knowledge of good and evil." So I just wanted to point that out to you. So you just said tree of knowledge. So I just want to point out what you said about stressing.
Well, I was confused about
calling it by the full name.
Okay, so basically, Adam and Eve learned too much. So God squashed them, threw them out of Eden. Right?
Okay. Hold on. I'm sorry. Is this the God that threw them out? Is this Yahweh?
Not sure. We're not sure.
I'm
just speaking to your point of the possibility that we keep losing knowledge.
Okay.
So just in the books we've read, Garden of Eden, you get thrown out. You knew too much. Noah's people, not really sure why he flooded the place, but maybe they learned too much.
Right.
The Tower of Babel.
That was definitely right.
Crushed them because they got too smart.
Too quick.
Was there another example?
By the way, in the time of Noah, right, it just seemed like he was disgusted with them because they were savage. And it seems like they were savage because they were these Nephilim people.
Oh shit!
Remember those giants?
Yeah.
As soon as he got rid of like all those like undesirables, and it was just like humans, like Homo sapiens, within like a year, like we built a fucking tower to the fucking heavens.
Maybe they were onto something. Maybe like a certain race or a group of people should get together and determine themselves better than everybody else and start systematically eliminating people that are different from them. That might work.
Nah, I'm not talking about that.
And then you get like a master race where that, it's...
I was just talking about kicking some ass, man. I wasn't talking about fucking genocide.
All right, so and then we all know the story of the Library of Alexandria, right? I guess that happens in the future.
Sure.
Where that's like the culmination of all knowledge in the known universe, and the church burned it to the ground.
Not all knowledge, but yeah, sure, right.
So
a tremendous amount of knowledge.
There's a lot of backup evidence for you.
Right.
In this.
So who's
and I'm
to
sure
say
there's more to come?
And who's to say like the Alexandria Library was the worst like event of its kind? You know what I mean? Like, that's could have been like worse shit that happened 70,000 years ago.
Yeah, man.
So
all more plausible.
All more plausible.
So they mentioned that Moses would always come back from the tent, but Joshua would never leave the tent. Is Joshua dead? Hey, Moses, where's Joshua? No, he's just busy. He's busy.
Like Yahweh killed him?
No, I think maybe Moses. Somebody did something.
You think like Yahweh ate him?
No,
because Yahweh asked specifically for Joshua. When he called up Moses to the mountain, he specifically requested Joshua out of nowhere. Like, we hadn't heard of Joshua. And all of a sudden, like, Moses' assistant, Joshua. And Yahweh's like, why don't you, like, only you can come up here. And by the way, bring your young... that
cutie with the booty.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
For all we know, like, he's like the gimp now in Yahweh's, like, castle. He's, like, locked in a box, and he only comes out, like, every once in a while when they catch a spider.
When the spider catches a fly.
Oh, that's what it is. When the spider catches a fly. What a weird dialogue. That whole scene was crazy surreal, man.
Yeah. So Moses says, listen, God, Lord, Yahweh, you got to come with me. You got to come with us. They got to see that we're homies, so they'd be down with following me.
Yeah, this is called, this is the section, Moses' intercession.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to read that.
That's all right.
Yeah, I don't know what
I'm used to it. I looked up intercession.
Of course you did.
It's basically like a plea, like he's making a case for.
Because these people are stiff-necked. Like, if God's not around for like a day, they're up to shenanigans.
Right. It's right. So Moses knows, he's like, please, like, you can keep these people in line, like I can't do this.
I 9/11 3,000 of them, and they're still not listening to me. Yeah. So the Lord says, yeah, okay, I'll go with you, but I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to be merciful to the people I want to be merciful to. I'm going to be a dick to the people I want to be dick to.
So let me read it. In Exodus 33, verse 20, but he said, you cannot see my face, for no one shall see me and live. And the Lord continued, see, there is a place by me where you shall stand on the rock, and while my glory passes by, I will put you in a cleft of the rock, and I will cover you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will take away my hand, and you shall see my back, but my face shall not be seen.
Yeah. Couple of questions about this.
Yeah.
Let's forget the fact that he's hiding his face.
So he's telling, like, Moses, like, I'll be with you, but, like, you'll never see me.
Right. And I'm going to say this. One of two things is happening here.
But why the feet? He's shown his feet already.
Yeah, but I think it was holographic feet. I think that was just like a hologram.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that. All right.
And yeah, you see his feet because he was able to duplicate that because his feet don't look like
Maybe
that.
Quentin Tarantino directed it. That's why you see his feet.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know about this?
I do not.
Oh, like
he's
all into, like, feet. Like, every movie prominently
we had to watch Uma Thurman's feet in...
Not just almost every movie, if you go back and watch, feet. Jackie Brown, feet. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, feet. Pulp Fiction, feet.
Feet creep.
Kill Bill, feet.
Yeah.
Thank God no feet in Reservoir Dogs, because it was all dudes, man.
We got an ear though. We got an earful.
Yeah.
So here's one of two theories. He had to put Moses against a rock, cover him with his huge God hands or whatever it was, and walk past him because he was shielding him from whatever shit he gives off that will kill a human. And once he's past you, it's okay because he projects it forward. Whichever way he's looking, he's like Medusa. Right? Like he looks at you and you turn to stone or whatever.
Right.
The other theory is, you know why you can't see his face? Lizard people. He's a lizard people.
Right. He looks all fucking weird and
He's
crazy.
He's a lizard guy.
Right. Well, why? I mean, so what? But he's God. What's the difference? What would Moses care?
Because no matter how much you want to believe,
I'm not arguing with you.
No,
I'm just interested in like
no
why.
matter how much you want to believe something's your God, you're never going to accept a lizard person as your God.
Right. It's like that natural, like human, like fight or flight, like instinct in you. Like lizards, like are just.
That's why they use lizard people in V. Captain Kirk fought the Gorn.
Right.
It's repulsive to us.
Right.
Lizards.
And it's like a term that you use for someone who's like totally like vile.
Yeah.
Like Mitch McConnell, even though he's a turtle, people call him a turtle.
Yeah.
He's a lizard person.
Right. Would you ever take
Matt Gaetz, lizard person.
Yeah, could you take that guy as your God?
Marjorie Taylor Greene, lizard person.
So and so what would God's reason be to not show his face?
I felt like BDP just now. Who else can I call out, man? The boar can suck a big fat dick.
Easy. Big fat. That wasn't BDP. That was Snoop and Dre, I think.
Nah, there was something on Edutainment where like he called like everyone out.
Oh, all right. Well, listen to that after this.
Right.
So what reason would Yahweh have not to show his face? Was that like some sort of punishment? You're not going to see my face now?
Maybe
First
because
of all, only Moses and Joshua have seen his face so far.
Well, that lends to the theory that he's just a regular person and, that has access to knowledge.
Okay.
However he came about it, whether time traveler, whether like...
But if you look like a regular person and we were made in his image, that would make sense. Third theory.
Go ahead.
What if he's
cloning? What if he cloned us? What if he repopulated the planet after like that apocalypse and we were all cloned?
We're all clone troopers?
No, because clone troopers all... Do they know that they're clones? Like when they look at each other, do they recognize that they're looking at themselves? Because we look at each other and we see different people.
Right. The clone troopers knew.
They knew. Okay, right. So not like clone troopers.
All right. So stupid. So here's the other theory. Maybe he hides his face because if he didn't hide his face, somebody in the back would go, "Yo, Bob, is that you? Yo, Bob, that's you." That's weird. Yeah, all more plausible than what we're dealing with.
Right.
All right. So let's move on to
Exodus 34. Yeah, Exodus 34. Moses makes new tablets because, remember, he was so angry that he smashed the tablets that apparently the finger of God fucking wrote all of his, like, laws on, front and back. Moses was so angry. This is the steward of God's word. This is the person God has chosen.
Because he's quick to anger, or he's got a temper problem. That's
the Moses that killed that guy and buried him in the sand after he quickly looked around.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The crime of passion that he committed.
I was kind of thinking also, though, Moses didn't smash them in anger. I think Moses heard everything. He's like, now let me check this out. He saw the partying going on, and it's almost like his jaw dropped, and he was like, what in the actual fuck? And they just kind of fell out of his hands at that point.
Or, better theory, he shows up with the tablets. Some big titty like chicks show up, right? They're like, oh shit, there goes Moses. They like give him like a hit of like some desert like drug, you know what I mean? Like, let's go party. He takes it, of course, drops the tablets.
Nice. Sucker for a
or puts him down, and after the party, there's like a party, he wakes up in the morning, he's like, who broke the fucking tablets? When God gets home, he is gonna kill me. It was like an 80s style like party.
And they're like, yo, I don't know, man. I'm out of here. Oh, what? You out of here?
Right. So, all right. So Moses is going to make new tablets, but God, I'm sorry, not even God, Yahweh. He tells him, no one shall come up with you, and do not let anyone be seen throughout all the mountain, and do not let flocks or herds graze in front of that mountain. So
Again,
he's calling him back up to the mountain to, right.
And saying, get your people out into the safe zone.
Right. He's saying, bring me, make 2 tablets, and I'm going to write on them.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was definitely.
But only you. No one else. Everyone has to stay. Everyone has to stay away.
Yeah. Because the rocket ship comes down again, and it would incinerate the flocks and everything, and he doesn't want the flocks and the herds to die because they're feeding him.
Yep.
And then he starts spewing some nonsense about how he's such a great Yahweh, great Lord. So
it's like
I have here, Rusty, read out loud. You need to read this.
Yeah,
part.
it's basically like, it's one of those hip hop like bragging like bars where they like rap about themselves and how awesome they are. So he says, this is him talking about himself. The Lord passed before him and proclaimed, the Lord, a God merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love and faithfulness, keeping steadfast love for the 1,000th generation, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin, yet by no means clearing the guilty, but visiting the iniquity of the parents upon the children and the children's children to the 3rd and 4th generation.
Yo, until you read it like that, I didn't realize how gangster that sounded.
Well,
he was like, yo, I'm the best God you're gonna get.
Yes.
Cross me?
Yeah.
I'm gonna bomb a town.
Yeah. No, it's a total like hip hop like bar that he spit. And what's funny is he talks about how like he's all about love, right? But then he's like, and forgiveness.
And slow to anger.
And slow to anger. So this gives you a sense of how he sees himself.
Yeah.
That's total narcissist.
Most shit people
total
don't know
narcissist.
Shit people.
Total narcissist. Unable to like view himself like through a true lens. So he tells you all these things: love, faithful, slow to anger, but then he says, if you transgress me, I'm gonna not only fuck you up, I'm gonna fuck up your children and their children and their children and their children.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So, do you think
it's like the mob? It's like they say like that joke about the Russian mob. The Italian mob would say like, "We'll kill you." The Russian mob will kill you, your wife, your dog, you know what I mean? Like to indicate that they're like crazy. That's Yahweh. Yahweh's like the Russian mob.
All right.
Maybe even like the Chechen mob.
Is that a thing?
The Chechen? There's like a mob everywhere.
Yeah, everybody's mob.
You know what mob I wouldn't want to run across, man? Like the Democratic People's Republic of the Congo. Like, if there's, like, a mafia there, because I've seen pictures of them, and they've got, like, hyenas on, like, chains. Have you ever seen pictures where they're, like, hanging out, like, in a village, and, like...
It's like that God dog? That's their pit bulls?
They're on their Toyota, because apparently, like, everyone, like, who's, like, got machine guns rides around, like, in a Toyota pickup truck.
Nice.
Go look it up. Go, like, Google, like, Taliban or Al-Qaeda, like, on, like, a truck. It's always a fucking Toyota. So they're like hanging out in like an African village on their Toyota, walking around with like machine guns, these warlords, and they've got like fucking hyenas on like...
That's crazy.
Not like a dog chain, like those chain links, like those heavy.
Yeah.
But what's funny is if the hyena doesn't want to be on that, like you holding the chain, you're not going to be able to hold that chain. That hyena is going to like break free.
That hyena knows better.
You think so?
Yeah, of course.
Knows where its food comes
from. So New Jack City was filmed in the wherever you just said?
Yeah.
Like Nino Brown would have hyenas and
Congo.
Yeah. Actually, when you said, you know what mob I wouldn't want to run up against? As soon as you said Democratic, I was going to stop you. I'm like, yeah, no shit. I wouldn't want to. Like,
the woke mob. What are they gonna do? Annoy you to death?
They're gonna
cancel.
They're gonna tell me to use the right past participles or pronouns or something.
It's just funny when the right fucking whines about cancel culture. It's like you fucking invented cancel culture. Shut the fuck up. Yeah. Go burn a book, asshole.
Yeah. Do we see mirrors anywhere? Does anybody have a mirror to look into?
No one. No.
Yeah. So God.
It's the horseshoe theory. You know the horseshoe theory?
I don't.
So the horseshoe theory. Think about like the shape of a horseshoe. So like
That's
the more
immediately what I thought of when you said horseshoe.
Like you start coming like so like the right, certain elements of the right and the left are way closer to one another than they actually think.
When you get to the end of the
extremes.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah.
So in the horseshoe theory, like the two ends of the spectrum start to like come together and meet at a certain point.
Do you know who the people at the top of that horseshoe are that are close together, right and left?
Who?
The rich motherfuckers.
And then the fucking
where they
poor
portray
motherfuckers, right?
Like they're different,
That's right.
but they're the fucking same.
That's right.
And here we are fighting each other over it.
That's right. Eat the rich motherfuckers.
Yeah. Fuck out of here.
Eat the rich.
Yeah. They probably don't taste good.
We're past taxing the rich.
Yeah. And I'm not going to make the rich into crackers to eat, okay? All right? I'm not going to do that?
No, don't do that. Crackers are not good.
Yeah.
Especially on Twitter. If you're like on Twitter and you're into crackers, you know, that's not good.
Just don't do it, man.
Yeah, don't.
So the covenant gets renewed.
The covenant renewed. And this, by the way.
Oh, wait.
Go ahead.
I forgot. Before this, when God gave that whole gangster rap, Moses was like, yo, I know me and these people suck, but just take us.
Yeah.
And then the covenant gets renewed.
Well, this is what God likes to hear, you know, like God, like showing fealty to God and like prostrating yourself before God and being like, oh, we're so bad, only you can like help us save us.
It's like becoming president, and like one of your first like televised like staff meetings is let's go around the table and everybody say something good about me.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because which president did that?
The former guy.
Well, in this part, in the covenant renewed, God sounds just like Donald Trump.
Really?
He said, so in the covenant renewed, he says, I hereby make a covenant before all your people. I will perform marvels such as have not been done in all the earth or in any nation, and all the people among whom you live shall see the work of the Lord. It's the best, ask anybody.
They said, sir.
For it is an awesome thing that I will do with you. So he basically.
By the way, that was your best impersonation of anything so far.
Has it? Is it? Yeah. I did one decent like German.
Yeah.
Like I said a word that was decent. I was pretty proud of myself.
Yeah, it kind of sounded racist, but
that was my best impersonation ever.
That's pretty. You sound like a layman impersonating like an impersonator of Donald Trump. Right? So you like
I'll take it. I'll take it. All right. So I hereby make a covenant before all your people. I will perform marvels such as have not been done in all the earth or in any nation, and all the people among whom you live shall see the work of the Lord, for it is an awesome thing that I will do with you.
Yeah, but
or this could be like a Steve Jobs speech at like one of those like Apple fairs, like where all the idiots show up and like, oh, what's he gonna say this year? Oh yeah, Steve. Oh, keep going. Genius. Genius.
We're gonna wait online for 16 hours,
right?
For a mildly more updated fucking phone.
Oh, he's such a genius, and paid triple the price of what it's actually worth.
Yeah. Yeah, and first of all, you're going to spend like $1,200 for this thing.
So, Scott, are you saying anyone who's listening to this on an Apple device is a fucking idiot?
Absolutely not.
All right.
But if you're listening to this on an Apple device you waited in line 16 hours for, I might go say you're an idiot. Right. But congrats to you, because obviously you don't have to go to a job. You're well off that you can afford a $1,200 phone and not go to work for 2 days. All right. Good for you.
Yeah.
Take great pictures, though.
All right, so this is the covenant renewed, and after he gives that magnificent speech, he repeats like all the commandments and like some of the laws again, right? Like,
but before he does that, he was like, "So yo, you heard my rap. I'm badass. I'm going to send my angel in front of you to clear the land of the ites, the stalactites, the stalagmites, and everything.
Right.
And he goes, yo, don't talk to any of them.
Is this the angel of death?
I don't know. And actually, I don't even know if he said originally he was going to send the angel. Now that he's going to be with them,
Right.
maybe he doesn't actually send the angel. But basically, he sends an angel as like a steamroller, like a front, like a bulldozer.
A cherub, by the way, is an order of angel. Remember we were talking about cherubs?
The fat babies with wings?
So there's like a whole, there's a whole order of angels, and a cherub is like angels are like the what do you call it? I don't even know how to call it. Like, what's like the main, like, so in other words, you know, there's alligators, crocodiles, caimans, those are crocodilians. So angel is the crocodilian, you know.
Oh.
What cherub is the alligator.
I hope they're not caimans, because caimans are freaky. What's with that long, crazy,
but they're
chainsaw
little
looking.
They look scary, but they're little. You can handle a caiman.
It's funny that you say crocodilians, because that maybe is the name of the race that Yahweh is part of.
You think he's a crocodilian?
I don't know.
I mean, it came up again. Maybe subconsciously, I'm mulling it over what you're saying.
Flashes like green people.
Yeah.
Like they get hit in the head and their skin comes off, and you see the scales
Why green,
underneath.
though? They don't have to be green, right?
I don't know. No, nah, they do it if they want to really get to our
this
emotions.
Theory that could be even more realistic than a god? Another theory. So they said if dinosaurs existed, they could have eventually evolved, right?
Yeah.
To develop speech and this and that. What if this is like a dinosaur that's like survived and evolved?
Oh shit!
For millions and millions and millions of years.
He was the fucking dinosaurs. Like, guys, you gotta believe me. I see this asteroid coming.
Yeah.
We gotta do something. Like, get out of here, crazy man Johnson.
I mean, or even like the asteroid hits, and that was like 65 million years ago. We came around 200,000 years ago. That's kind of a big gap. That's a long gap. How do we know, like, did every dinosaur die out? And if they didn't, they would have evolved eventually, right? And who knows? Maybe they evolved to become like, what do you call it? Maybe they left the planet because it wasn't sustainable for them to. So in other words, let's say dinosaurs survived for another million years without dying out and had time to evolve over a million years. I mean, my God, we've only been around for 200,000 years.
Yeah, but
so I'm not saying
we're the end result of millions of years of evolution, though.
So think about if there's a nuclear war, right? Not every single human being is going to die, right?
Oh, and they're going to be mutated.
Yeah. Like, people will survive, right? Not in the numbers that roaches will survive or rats, but there will be people who survive. I've seen movies. You know, I know what happens. I've seen Terminator and Matrix, right? We survive an apocalypse. Like, life might not be great. So what if these dinosaurs, some of them survived, evolved, developed technology, left the planet because it wasn't good for them because the foliage changed, right? Like,
everything changed.
Everything is different. Trees, what we have now is not what they needed to survive. They had to leave the planet. But this guy, he fucking came back.
Yeah, he missed the old school. Do you think this dinosaur that was saying, yo, the asteroid's coming and nobody listened, do you think when he came out of the rubble in the library and he was like, finally I got a chance to be by myself and read everything, and then he reached for his glasses and they were broken?
Now that you're talking about it, I think he's the one that wrote that episode of Twilight Zone.
Shit.
It was autobiographical.
And Burgess Meredith lived to like 215 years old.
Too many years he lived.
He was old in Twilight Zone and still had trained Rocky like 20 years
Oh, my
ago.
God. He was old in Batman in the 60s as the Penguin.
Oh, that's right. He was the Penguin.
That's right.
Burgess Meredith is Yahweh. Holy shit.
I ain't hear no bell.
Get up, because Yahweh loves you.
So, look, let's be serious. I'm not saying this Yahweh's a dinosaur, but that is more reasonable and believable than it being God. We'll add that to the list. We should start keeping a list on the website of things that are more believable than God. So far, we've got like Superman, Atlanteans. You know, we'll
Yeah.
We should update that.
Yeah, we will. So the ites, they're going to clear out all the ites in front of them.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't talk to them because they prostitute themselves. You're going to get with their daughters. Your daughter's going to get with their sons. You're going to be basically a sellout. It'll be a snare to you, he mentions again. And now I'm wondering, is this guy, Yahweh, the type of guy who will lock a child or a girlfriend or a wife to the basement wall, shackle them to the wall,
Joshua,
and tell them it's for your own good because
Yeah.
these other people are going to tell you things that are not good. So Yahweh doesn't want, like, all these Hebrews are walking through through all these towns, and people are like, yo, what are you doing, man? We got a Ferris wheel over here. We got some pool. Let's hang out. We got a club. Let's party. We got good food. Don't talk to those people because he wants to keep them stupid. He wants to keep them unenlightened. Like, so they don't know there's a better way.
So he's trying to force this religion on them, right? Like, we don't know.
Forcing obedience, not so much religion yet. Just obedience.
Well, he's saying, I'm the Lord, I'm the God. You have to make sacrifices to me. It seems like it's all the tenets of a religion. Like, you're worshiping me. Like, he's giving them someone to worship, and that's him, and these are the rituals that you have to perform. I mean, I would say it's a religion.
And he does go through, he runs a checklist again.
So the whole thing about religion is a belief in a religion stems from ignorance.
Of course.
Ignorance of, like, the way things work. You need to be able to explain, right? So, like, the reason you perform sacrifices is, like, you want rain so your crops can grow, or you don't want, like, a wolf eating, like, your babies, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, all the unexplained, like, phenomena of, like, the physical world, you need to, like, humans need some control over that shit, and they feel like if we, like, pray to this or pray to that, it gives us some control. So people have to be kept ignorant.
Yeah, it was a commercial that was on recently. I haven't seen it recently. It was on in the recent past. The guy at the top of the volcano, they're going to throw into the volcano because there's been no rain. So the guy's there. Well, instead of throwing me into this volcano, maybe if we constructed a network of aqueducts from the water supply and brought it down to where our crops are. And the guy was like, no, the king's already here. All the arrangements have been made. He's like, okie dokie. He jumps into the volcano. And then the guy that's standing there puts his hands out and, like, it doesn't rain.
Right.
Like, it was just pretty funny.
What was the commercial for?
Who the fuck knows? Like, all good commercials, you don't really remember what the product is.
Right.
So God starts breaking down all these rules that he already gave them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Do not cast any idols. Do you think Aaron went, who the fuck does that? Who the fuck would cast an idol?
I don't know who that applies to. Wasn't me.
Nobody's seen Bob in a while.
Man, it's hot around here.
You're going to keep the festival of the unleavened bread. Let me stress that again. No fucking yeast, because our species is allergic to it. All firstborn are mine. Cows and sheep are mine. Throw back the donkey or break its neck. Change it out for a lamb.
Right.
Is that why we don't eat donkey to this day?
It's because they're fierce and loyal.
All right. No one shall appear before me empty-handed.
I mean, you don't eat donkey. I bet there are people.
I'm sure somebody does.
That eat donkey.
6 days work, 1 day rest. Observe the festivals. Males appear to me 3 times per year. I was wondering, is that en masse, like 3 specific times during the year?
En masse?
Like it's just all males show up 3 times a year at exactly the same time, or they stagger it out. Like, you have a day of the year. Like, 3 days a year, you got to go. 3 days a year, I got to go. But not the same
it's like
days.
a massive orgy. They all show up.
Just of the males?
Yeah.
Hey, man, whatever floats your boat.
It's like a massive bachelor party. They leave their wives at home.
Okay. So, no bread with the blood of my sacrifice. And I was like, what fucking sacrifice has Yahweh made?
The blood of, no, his sacrifice, meaning the sacrifice that you're giving to him. So, like, don't like the bread and, like, the goat blood that you sacrificed or the lamb blood.
Oh, I thought he was like, all of a sudden, remember that sacrifice I made? And he was like, no, just go along with it.
He doesn't want blood bread.
Yeah, who does? Your best first fruits of the harvest go to me. Don't boil your kid in the mom's milk. And he's like, Moses, are you writing all this down?
All shit, by the way, that we already know.
But they fucking ignore because they're stiff-necked.
Yeah.
These fucking people don't pay attention. That's why he's like, yo, dude, are you getting all this? Yeah. So now...
We should start using that.
What, stiff-neck?
Fucking stiff-neck piece of shit.
Yeah. Move, stiff-neck. Move. Get out the way. All right, so now God's telling
Next time you're in a local pub, you should call someone a stiff-neck.
Nobody want to talk about anything stiff in a bar.
No.
Especially the bars I go to.
Oh, people talk about stiff shit in the bars that you go to all the time. By the way, where was that bar?
I don't want to talk about it. That got me too angry. I don't want to talk about it right now.
No, not this bar. You sent me photos from last week.
Yeah, I don't want to.
You don't want to talk about that on air.
No.
Okay,
that's part. That was a lead up to my angry outburst on Twitter.
Okay, fair enough.
That was like the beginning of it.
Okay.
So now apparently God's telling him all this. So Moses made 2 new tablets. He got the commandments. He got all these writings, and he went to go tell the people, and the people backed off from him. Yo, what's up with Moses' face?
Yeah.
What's wrong with Moses' face, Rusty?
It's shining.
Shining.
Moses' face is shining.
He's got like an oily T-zone.
He's been up like in the cloud that no one is allowed to visit.
Mm-hmm.
No one's allowed to go. You know. He comes down, and his face is fucking shining. He looks like Jim Morrison in the desert scene of The Doors on peyote. Maybe you should kill your father.
So they back off from him.
Yeah, okay, Jim. As soon as we get back to civilization and we stop tripping on peyote, I'll kill my father. Fucking idiot.
Dumbass. It's amazing that he went from tripping in the desert like that, talking about killing his father, to like being like the best Top Gun fighter like in the world.
It's crazy.
That's way to turn your life around, though.
Yeah, it was good to see him like, local boy makes good.
Do you think
and his father? I mean, his father probably got him in because his father was like an admiral in the Navy.
I did not know that.
Morrison's father. In Vietnam, he was like a major player. Like I think he was like part of the.
And that would normally be mad that his father was able to get him in and get him into like, but he made good. He became Top Gun.
No, absolutely.
And
now he's like the admiral of the fleet, by the way, like just like his father.
Do you think? Wait, is that the new movie that's coming out?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you like to spoil everything. Anyway. Do you think...
And Goose's kid...
Goose's kid is going to... Creed 2.
This is what's in the commercials.
I didn't see it. I didn't see the commercial.
But this is what's in the commercials.
I don't care. All right, so I didn't see it. Why don't you just respect my wishes and not reveal the plot lines? So I was going to say...
Oh, my God. I didn't realize Top Gun Maverick was like so important.
I'm going to return to the movies.
My bad.
I'm going to return to the theater after a 3-year absence to go see that movie. So do you think... fucking Iceman cleaned himself up. He's no longer doing the drugs in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And then fucking Goose and fucking Maverick, like, I feel the need for speed. And like his sponsor jumps out. Yo, shut up about the speed, man. No mention of drugs, man.
I mean, listen, he has had a rough life. Don't forget when he was living out west, he was like an alcoholic gambler, right? He was constantly like shooting people. So he went from like that. You don't remember when he was hanging out in Tombstone?
Oh,
in Arizona.
He had a substance abuse problem then too.
Yeah,
that man has come a long way.
Yeah, man, he's really
respect. You gotta respect. You don't know their story. You don't know the fucking trouble they've seen. Good for you, Jim Morrison, Iceman, Doc Holliday.
He's your Huckleberry. All right, so Moses' face is shining.
And he goes, no, it's all right. Come here. And then he puts a veil.
Scott, why don't you take a sip of your wine? You keep picking up your wine, but not sipping it. Because you want to talk.
Exciting conversation.
You want to have a conversation.
I'm just afraid if I like take a moment to sip, like I won't get a word in for like 20 minutes.
But then you're not drunk. That's why I say you should drink before the episode so that we're both equally like inebriated.
Whatevs. So he puts on like a veil, I guess, so like to not scare them.
Like a bride.
But when he goes to talk to God every time he takes the veil off. And he puts it on. So, why is his face shining, Russ?
I'm assuming, are we going to say radiation poisoning?
Radiation.
But does radiation...
Burns.
So, okay. So for comedy purposes, for improv purposes, right? I'm definitely going with the whole radiation thing.
Absolutely.
But if we're talking about physical reality, would your face burn? Or I'm sorry, would your face shine?
No, probably it wouldn't shine, but maybe he comes with a sunburn glow. So he just looks.
Do you think shine is like is it literal shining, or is this like how they're describing a phenomenon they're not quite understanding?
Yeah, I think it would be that. Or he just has a sunburn, like a strange sunburn, and it's been cloudy for a long time, so they don't understand why he has a sunburn.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe he's, I don't know, like a lot of fluids coming out of his face, like sweat, and it's catching the light right, so it looks shiny because it's real hot near the reactor.
Right. What's the reasoning in the Bible that his face is shining?
If they mention it, they haven't mentioned it yet.
Just like from having a conversation with God, like it just like it shines up his face.
Yeah. He's got that maternal glow. He's pregnant.
You think Yahweh like knocked him up?
I don't know how the reptilians do it, or the what do you got, the crocodilians?
they implanted eggs in him.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
So he goes, listen, guys, I know I look like a freak. I'm going to put this veil on. Now I'm going to tell you what God's just told me. We're gonna do the regulations again. And during the Sabbath, 6 days of work, 1 day of rest. If you get caught working on the seventh day, you're put to death. And I remember it said, God didn't say that. Wait, God
are you on
say
Exodus 35 now?
Fuck, I always don't do that. So, moving on to Exodus 35,
Yeah, okay.
Sabbath regulations. So he goes, you're going to be put to death. And I looked back, and I was like, God didn't say that. He said you just shouldn't work on the seventh day.
No, he did say that.
Back in the other one?
We had a whole conversation about it.
Good.
You're the one that brought it up about like putting people to death.
Okay, was that like more than 7 days ago?
No, it was like last week. Oh, I see what you're saying. My bad.
Right. I just thought
you shouldn't be expected to remember.
I thought Moses was kind of just saying that because nobody was listening to him. Like God said, just to keep him in check. And you shall kindle no fire on the Sabbath in your dwelling, so no heat. I guess you don't really need it like in the desert gets cold in the winter, right?
Because I guess it takes work to make heat.
So you got to sit there and fucking your teeth
heat
chattering.
Is like how do you make heat? You got to like gather firewood, or you got to put it on. Listen, I don't want to justify this. It's crazy. So. You know, you're asking these questions, and then I start immediately like justifying like what Yahweh like commands, and it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
You're a God apologist.
Yeah,
you called me many moons ago. All right, so then I think we move on, and he was
preparations for making the tabernacle,
and he phrases it in a way: those who are like down with us, good of heart, should come donate all their shit because they need all the raw materials again because now they have to build a new tabernacle. Yeah. I guess they didn't pack it up properly. Like did they lose the materials?
So as I'm reading this is like one of those things where it's like, did different people write the different like? Why is this what they decided? Like at whatever council in Europe they sat down at to put the Bible together, or the various councils throughout the hundreds of years, you know, where they like added books and removed books, and why? These chapters, like Exodus 35 and like the earlier Exodus chapters, why is there so much overlap? Like, is it just different authors and they like drunkenly? Because remember, people were always drunk.
Right.
Like the people that put the Bible together were drunk all the time because water was poisonous, so they were drinking beer and wine constantly in order to stay hydrated. There was no clean water. So everyone was making decisions drunk all the time. So it doesn't make sense to me why we have to read through the same shit again.
Well, because the same shit isn't the same shit. This is a new tabernacle. It's not the same tabernacle.
So it's kind of like Genesis 2, like a different account of creation?
No, they broke down everything at Mount Sinai. Now they've moved along. They're not at Mount Sinai anymore.
But why is he giving him instructions for the creation of the tabernacle?
Did you see how convoluted the fucking instructions were the first time?
Yes.
Who the fuck could remember that?
So he's got to tell him this all the time?
Yes. They're stiff-necked.
All right, this is crazy.
Dude, you know how hard it is to put an IKEA fucking piece of furniture together based on the instructions?
Oh, I know how hard it is to put like Lego shit together.
So, all right, so imagine you took apart like a shelving unit.
Yeah.
Like, a shelving unit for you.
Yeah, sure.
packed it up in boxes, moved it to your new apartment, and then didn't have the instructions.
Yeah.
You couldn't put that shit back together.
No.
That should be crooked, leaning, falling over in the middle of the night.
All
you
right.
blame your son, your cat.
So you're saying the tabernacle was that
It's
complex?
Fuck
right.
yeah.
All right.
And you know what? When you take shit apart, you should like label it. Like, but nobody does that.
But if Yahweh gave people the divine inspiration to write the Bible and all the words that went into it, why didn't he give people the divine inspiration of the knowledge of how to construct the tabernacle? So in other words, he can get into someone's brain and have them write the words of the Bible.
And he did get into all their brains to tell them how to build stuff. Like we get to Beelzebub and Oli Bob or whatever his fucking names were. Like originally, well, he revisits them again.
Right.
You know what he should do? Maybe have like a place, like a repository online where you can download the instructions.
Yeah.
And that's going out to every fucking manufacturer that made anything ever. Can I please easily find instructions to download for every fucking thing I got to put together?
Yeah.
It's not as easy as you think, man.
It's weird that you say that because I just did that today.
Yeah, I mean, more and more companies are coming
It was
along.
easy
Listen, I got a fucking drawer full of shit from the 1990s that's in this house, and I can't find instructions.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's
Even new shit.
right. If shit's like 30 years, it's 30 years old, bro.
Whatever, man.
Like it's before the internet.
Yeah, whatever. The internet was...
All right, so now we got the preparations for making the tabernacle. You have more to say about that?
We're not going to get into that.
Then we go into offerings for the tabernacle.
Yeah, so now the word is out, and everybody who has free will give up their shit.
Yeah.
Free will, huh? When
Well,
you're under duress, there's no such thing as free will.
You have free will. You can do what you want, but
there's consequences.
He will consume you.
Yeah. Not in a good way.
That gets us to, as you said, Beelzebub.
But before we get there, I know
sure.
Willing hearts gave up their loot. Skilled women spun.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
You know what spun means, by the way?
Yeah, so make tapestries and carpets and like you're taking yarns
in
and
modern nomenclature. If you're spun, that means you're high on methamphetamine.
I don't think that's what they're referencing here.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's ridiculous to think that the people who invented the Lord God from a burning bush and the 10 Commandments and see like all this, they're not getting high in the desert.
No, that's not ridiculous. But what's ridiculous is knowing the context, you're still saying that's what they're referring to. You know that's out of context. Right. It's fruit of the loom right here. Fruit of the loom they're making. And, skilled women do that because no man would do that job. That's a woman's job.
Oh, shit.
And then they mentioned the leaders brought gems for the fucking smock and the apron. Mm-hmm. Why do the leaders have gems?
Well, I'll tell you
so
this.
The rich are ruling
if
shit
I've
already.
learned from anything from Jurassic Park, it's that they're probably bringing like fucking like dinosaurs trapped in ember so that he can resuscitate his fucking ancestors.
It's amber, but okay.
What did I say?
Ember.
I said ember with an E.
Yes.
And it's amber.
Yes.
With an A.
Yes.
What's ember with an E? Like
embers are like in the fireplace.
Flames, right? Like a dying,
the
dying. Right. Yeah.
All right. So
amber.
Yeah.
All right.
And every time like they come in,
is it always orange?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's how I always picture it.
Yeah.
Do you think when they
Jurassic Park?
Do you think when they find one or they can't find it, an alert goes out?
An amber alert?
Oh man, that's fucked
up. Do you
too.
know?
That's way too soon.
Speaking of amber alerts, do you know that Laura Dern was only 23 in the original Jurassic Park, and her love interest, her ex love interest, who like presumably they hadn't seen each other for years. He was like over 20 years older than her. So during the filming, she was 23, meaning that she must have been like 19 or whatever. And he was like in his like mid 40s.
So he's a child molester.
So they were just talking about it this week because apparently like they're going to be in a movie again. They're doing a Jurassic Park movie or whatever. Like where like, yeah, they're back together.
Jurassic 17 or something.
And they were talking about how like now they realize how weird and creepy it was.
All right, it was probably a writing
it was a different
oversight.
time. It was the 90s.
Laura Dern didn't.
We didn't know any better.
I
back
thought Laura
then.
Dern was older
Listen,
in that
it's
movie.
the same shit now. Believe me. It's
She
like,
looked great in the new Star Wars
so,
movies, by the way.
Take Jennifer Lawrence, for example. Yeah. She's hit 31. Her roles are going to start drying up now. Because apparently, for some reason in Hollywood, if you're a woman who's like out of her 20s, you're done. Like Jennifer Lawrence was making movies when she was 23, and her love interest was like someone like Bradley Cooper, who's like 39. You know what I mean? Hollywood is fucked up.
Well,
Hollywood is fucked up.
Starts right here. The skilled women spun yarn while the men did real work.
Yeah.
All right, so
well, they're all godless in Hollywood anyway.
Oh, sure. Yeah, sure. That's in California, right? Most of
with
Hollywood
their drug parties.
Yeah. Bezalel and Olabab.
Bezalel and
God gives them the Holy
Oliab.
Spirit again, gives them the divine spirit, so they're crazy skilled.
You think they're like Pentecostals, like at church, like their arms are up in the air, and they start speaking in tongues. They're like, and they're like,
Make a note. We're gonna start next episode.
Build their furniture.
Next episode, we're gonna start like I don't know what a Pentecostal is.
No.
So, but I don't want to get into it right now.
No.
So they got some other skilled people. When they went to work, they started building the tabernacle.
That's Exodus 36, construction of the tabernacle.
Oh, okay, right. Wait. Before we get there, you always like jump ahead. See, I think I missed.
You're the one that brought
think
up
I
the
missed
construction of the tabernacle. You're like, they're going to build a tabernacle. And I know that you never like mentioned that we're moving on to like a next chapter.
Right. So, apparently.
Again, okay, so you're telling me we've bookended this episode with you gaslighting me. We started the episode with you gaslighting me, and we're going to fucking end the episode with another gaslight.
These are not the droids you're looking for. All right. So somebody runs into Moses. Oh my God, we've got too much gold and bronze and platinum and wood and all this other stuff and leather. So Moses like, all right, I'll just tell them to stop giving stuff. Like they made it out like it was an emergency.
Right.
Like they had too much resources.
Well, I mean, not only are they stiff-necked, but they're quite dramatic people.
Oh my. I think you've mentioned that before.
Have I mentioned it?
Like when Ethel talks about Miriam.
Oh my God, they're yentas. It's just never ending with them.
So that brings us to construction of the tabernacle.
Mm-hmm. Exodus 36.
And why don't you describe that whole chapter?
I can't describe that whole chapter. He basically just goes over again what he's already explained. He goes through all of the materials that are necessary in excruciating detail. Bring me myrrh and gold and amber and emeralds, and make sure that the curtains are made out of like linens from like used panties, and it's just on excruciating detail about how to construct the tabernacle.
Do you think the instructions are exactly the same as the previous tabernacle? I'm feeling they are. I don't know why. I feel like they're exactly the same.
So, I didn't even match it up. I assumed. I assumed.
And you know what? Because we both assume, we're going to say that's fact.
Yeah.
This tabernacle is supposed to look exactly like the other tabernacle. Sure. But I'm thinking, anytime you move to a new apartment, new house, you want to mix something up, like make something different. You have some improvements. But no, this is millions of years of dinosaur fucking technology. Mm-hmm. And this is what they need to land the spacecraft. We know what works. Let's not fuck with something that's not broken.
Right.
And there we are.
All right. So, no, don't hit anything yet.
I'm not hitting shit.
All right. So this,
your mom.
So we ended with Exodus 36. I think we're going to end Exodus in the next episode because it goes to 40. So depending on how dense each chapter is, I'm assuming we could do 37 through 40 and just end Exodus in our next episode.
Oh, that's crazy. Turning point.
Season 3. So season 2 finale.
So wait. So now Genesis
is the origin story.
Right. But the name of the book describes what it is. Genesis, the beginning.
Correct.
But that word probably didn't exist until the book Genesis. Like we consider the beginning of something a Genesis because this book was called that.
I think we had this conversation.
Probably.
So the book is probably not called Genesis in the original language that it was written in. It's called Genesis in our language, which derives from Greek or Latin or whatever.
So now Exodus, we to this day, when there's a mass leaving of people, it's an exodus. So what I'm going to ask you...
That's why it's called an That's why the book is called...
But do we call it an exodus because of the name of the book? And the reason I'm asking is because the next book, I think, is Leviticus. That's a word I don't know. So what the fuck is a Leviticus?
Right, I understand what you're saying.
All right, we'll take that up.
I'll think about that between now and Leviticus. Peace out.
Peace out.